everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, a place where we talk about love, life, Jesus, and ministry all under one package. So there are some of you who are asking, did the interview with Mr. Samuel Mungai end? Well, here we have him again on our video for the last part of the interview, and so it's going to be an amazing session as well. Thank you to everyone who's shown love on the last video. Thank you for your support, for subscribing, liking, and sharing my content. I really appreciate it. So welcome, Walimu.
Thank you for having me again.
It's such an honor to have you once again. So you're ready for another ride?
I am. Let's do this.
Okay, let's get to the first question.
Yes.
So the first question says, what fears did you have at your age when you were growing up and now as an adult?
To make it relevant, let me talk about when I was around 20. In those 10 years, 20 to 30, as I was developing, the fear of failure is always in the back of the mind. Failure in many contexts, failure at work, failure in relationships. The interesting thing is that you will always make mistakes. So we should never categorize mistakes as failure. So I did make many mistakes and wrong choices. Again, I always console myself and console anybody who's in their 20s right now. And I tell them, understand the season that you're in. In your early 20s, your mind is developing. You are thinking and trying to find your path in life. And there's so many things that you're going to encounter. And your mind is very active because it's still growing. So you're likely to make mistakes in terms of relationships, in terms of even career. There's nothing that's quite clear yet. So don't be too hard on yourself. So later on is when I realized that you shouldn't be, it's a part of growth. And it's important to make mistakes. But I've always said in life, look for a friend or somebody who's older. They'll always advise you, especially if you're having difficulty. Ask them, I feel this way. Am I on the right track? Or this is what I want to achieve. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Like it's always okay to ask for help.
It's always okay. Even at my age right now. I have mentors at my age right now. I have financial mentors. I have spiritual mentors. I have for every aspect of my life right now. Because you go into a new area. See, for example, when your children become teenagers, you've never been a parent of a teenager ever again in your life. So you find some behavior from your children. So you need to ask others who've been there before, and they tell you, no, this is normal. Oh, yours is only doing that. Oh, they do even this and that. That kind of thing. So it's important to have people you can always fall back on.
Interesting.
Yes.
So the second question will be, what's your stand on alcohol?
Yeah, that's a good one. Personally, I say, first of all, are you a Christian? And if you're a Christian, now this is my own personal stand. There's nowhere in the Bible that says you can't take alcohol, right? But again, the Bible, which is the living word, talks about the negative attributes of alcohol in Proverbs, in many places in the Bible. Because when you take alcohol, you are likely to lose control. And when you lose control, you can make decisions that you will regret. There are people who can handle alcohol well. And they don't get into trouble, they don't break the law, they don't get into health challenges. There are people who are very disciplined, who just go into a place or a function or an event and have a glass of wine. And they go home. Or have a beer or two and that's it. If you're that kind of person, I personally have nothing against alcohol. If anything, I purposed to introduce alcohol to my children, to my son, right? With other daddies who think alike. There are not many people who think this way. As I've told you before, I'm in two groups. I have a social group and then I have a spiritual group. Now, these are one of the groups we call ourselves fathers. And we have a WhatsApp group. Now, we have things in common. and we try to influence, because we tell the other parents of other fathers out there, is that your children are going to expect, whether you're Christian or not, your children live in this world, and they're going to experiment. So you might as well introduce alcohol to them so that they know what it is and the dangers, so that if they ever have those challenges, they will be free to come to you. Many, this is again out of my own experience, many children from Christian families get into a lot of trouble because now there's a disconnect from how they were raised and the world that they are in, and they go into parties and they have alcohol, and some get into sexual activities, and they're really in trouble and they don't know where to run to. But if their parents had talked to them and told them this is what happens, it would have been easier for them to come to their parents. So that's my take. We've been told we are in the world but not of the world.
Yeah.
But we need to be smart in this world. And that's why if you look in the Bible, in fact, I don't think there's anywhere where Christ used anybody who was perfect. The people he used had issues. Look at David, who became a king. He used him so well, but David had issues, lots of issues. Look at Samson. Look, I mean, everybody had issues. So the lesson I learned from the Bible is God uses people with issues. Like, all of us are imperfect. I'm not saying we should all jump into trouble. No. But let's be real and realistic. Yeah, that's how I look at it.
I've loved the point that you've said. You allowed your son to be able to be introduced to that, because I think one of the things that have made our generation to run into such things, it's because we've been raised in families where doing such things, first of all, it's a taboo.
Yeah.
So if you're seen anywhere near alcohol, like, you're not even supposed to be there, Yes. But the fact that you've allowed your kids not to take the alcohol, but to have the knowledge of it, like, this is what happens in the world. This is how you can be able to come out of that situation, just in case you find yourself, in that. Because let's be real, peer pressure is real. It happens even in our generation,
Yes.
And you'll have friends who are, doing that kind of a life. But the fact that you have the knowledge of what it is and the dangers that come with it, I think it's a really important thing to, have it in life. So I loved that. Kudos to you for that. Yeah, so the other question would be, and this is a very random one, are you a firstborn?
No. I am actually a thirdborn. I come from a family of 4 children. So my sisters are ahead. I have 2 older sisters, then I have a brother behind me.
Okay.
So I'm actually the thirdborn,
nice.
but I'm the firstborn son.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm still spoiled by my oldest.
Second last.
Yes, I'm still very close with my oldest sibling.
Nice.
We still go out together, and she still
Interesting.
spoils me. I'm still her little brother.
Oh,
Yes,
that's so
which
nice.
I love.
Any talents and gifts that we don't know about? About you, that is.
Yes, I'm a very hands-on person. I cook, I clean, I scrub, I do all kinds of housework, and I do it well. I wash, I iron. That's how we were raised. In the family I was raised, we weren't raised as boys and girls. We just raised as children. So we had duties assigned.
Yeah.
So this particular day, it was your duty to help make dinner. So I learned how to cook, to peel, and all that. So.
Sorry to cut you short,
That's all right.
but I've just thought of something. As we are talking about that, how about we demystify the norm that says such works are just only meant for the ladies? There are people out here, especially men, who are like, oh, me, I can't cook, I can't wash, that's the work for ladies. Just help them understand, that, it's for all. Yeah.
Chores are everybody's across gender. Because at some point, if you're a young man, you're going to live alone in a hostel. Or as you start off in life. Now, what will you do? Will you be eating in the hotel or kiosk every day? No, you have to cook for yourself. So these are some basic skills that you need to acquire on your own. The other thing I do is that I haven't utilized this talent. I draw. I'm very good in art.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I draw, I paint. In high school, I used to win awards.
Interesting.
Yes.
You'd want to see one of your drawings.
Yes, I do that, but I haven't practiced it in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good gift I have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So the other question would be, have you had any nasty encounters with the law? Either as a youth growing up or as a child?
Yes. Earlier on, when I was younger, I got into mischief. I'd get into mischief because I was drinking a lot. So we'd get into trouble. Either late hours, being caught late hours. I've been arrested once for drunk driving. All that is in the past. And I'm not, don't do this at home. I mean, that's the disclaimer. But I've always said, do these things in the appropriate seasons of your life. There's a season of growth, there's a season for experimentation. I've always said, do these things then and get over and done with them. That's especially for boys or men, because we mature in a different way from girls. And girls mature much faster than us. So it's important for us to do these things early, but not to remain there for too long. Just do these things, learn, and then get out and move on. Yeah, so yes, I did. I got into it. Nothing serious. Just some
Is
small.
there any time in your life where you spent maybe a night in jail?
I have. Yes, I've spent. Yes, I have in a police cell. Yes, I have. And I'll not name the police station, but it had many police women, and they would really mock me. They had a lot of fun.
How old are you then?
I was in my late 20s.
Okay.
Yes, late 20s, 30s there. I still got into some mischief.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I did it then. Yeah, and got over it then. Now in my adulthood, no, I haven't had any. I've been caught for speeding in Naivasha, but nothing major.
Yeah. As you're on that point, let's talk about peer pressure, especially in our generation.
Yes.
There are people who, honestly, si kupenda kwao, like they just have friends and they just want to fit in. Like, it's not like I'm trying to be an addict of alcohol or drugs or anything. I just want to fit in. I just want my friends to accept me, I just want to have the kind of life that they're having. So maybe there's someone who's watching this video and they're really struggling with peer pressure. What advice would you give to them?
Peer pressure is real, and it happens not only in your generation, even in our generation. In our generation, you find many of my peers living beyond their means because you want to drive a certain car because your peers are driving that car and you can ill afford it. So you're in debt too. So peer pressure happens all through. But my advice is, especially in your generation, Generation Z, number one is know yourself and appreciate yourself. We are never going to be equal in this world, and we were never meant to be.
That's true.
You are unique as you are, and you are total, just the way you are. And you don't have to fit in. And always remember, there are always those who are like you. The worst thing in life would be drinking alcohol or smoking or doing any other social activity to fit in, and you'll ill fit into that other group. So it's always good to be yourself. When you don't fit in, you actually stand out because you make a statement.
That's true.
That I am me. I don't mind whether I'm alone. I'm going to remain as myself. Once you have established that in your life, as you get older, like where I am now in my life, I think this is the best age to be in life as a mature man. Because at this age where I am right now, I choose my friends. I choose the groups that I want to be in. I go to the places that I want to go. I dress how I want. So long as it's decent, I don't care whether it's in fashion. I don't care what you think. That's up to you. I'm happy doing my own thing. So for me now, I don't look over my shoulder to find out, do I fit in or or what's the new trend, or what's happening, or do I have this or that.
Yeah.
I could have even a very cheap phone. That's my business,
Yeah.
right? And the next person here can have a phone that costs whatever it costs. That's up to you. Those things won't bother me. It's important to reach that. You don't have to get to my age. It's good to. I would advise anybody just be yourself. Yeah, and just run your own race.
Yeah. That's true. Wow. So the other question would be, do you have any crazy memory of misbehaviors behind the wheel?
Again, yes. Remember, I've said in between 20 and 30, I think I did all the things I needed to do. I ticked all the boxes, my to-do list. All the crazy things, I did them.
Yeah.
We used to race. We've raced on these roads, out of town to Naivasha and things like that.
Okay.
And very close encounters with accidents and those kind of things. Again, I've said, don't do this now. It's not wise. But if you must do it early and get over and done with it, so that you mature faster and start focusing on the things that make sense. Because the other thing that brings depression and mental health illness or disstability is when you realize, especially for men, when you realize you're a certain age and you can't account for your time. This also affects everyone. Never be in a position where you know, like for a 25-year-old, I ought to have, I'm not comparing myself with anyone, but I ought to have done this and that. You're still not there. You're going towards 30, you're still, so there's a clock in your brain that tells you there's something wrong. Because you're just living your life and you can't account for it. And that's why I advise even my students here, get involved, do something. Join that group, join that club, because you're getting exposure. You're making mistakes, but you have mentors. That helps you to grow. As opposed to being on your own, where you're not learning on your own. So it's always good to be and trying out something. Can you sing? Can you edit? Can you record? Just do things. And that's why when I have students who tell me they want to come into a studio like this and just try out their voice, I tell them, come. By all means, just try it out. Maybe you're the next radio announcer.
That's true.
Yeah. So be involved.
That's interesting. Wow. Yeah, so what's your life motto?
Live your life to the fullest. If I'd go secular, I'd say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Oh, all right. That's a good one.
If something is working,
Yeah.
you're in a good place, you have good friends,
Yeah.
continue with them. Yeah. Make friends. Learn the difference between a friend and an acquaintance. Invest in. Be very careful the people you allow in your life. Because allowing people in your life is like allowing people in your home. There's no way you'd open your door and just allow anybody on the street to just come into your house. So be very careful, because all of them come with their content and their influence. You don't want all that. So you need to be cautious. Like for me, I don't allow anybody in my space. I'm very conscious about that right now. Everywhere I go, even socially, where I go out, you'd find me in some places alone, or with some very few people, and that's deliberate. But like my circle of friends is very limited, and I keep it that way, and it's deliberate. Yeah.
I would like to know something. Are there any childhood traumas you've gone through? Or even now as an adult, is there at any point in life where you can remember where you went through trauma, and how has that helped you to, in your healing process and now growing up as an adult?
No, not really. I want to say I'm truly blessed. I grew up in a close-knit family with both parents. And my parents were present. So I don't remember. It's just the normal challenges of life. But I don't see any scenario where I actually went through a situation that would warrant trauma.
What's your best childhood memory?
Always growing up, because we grew up. I was born and raised on a farm, and I must say I had a happy childhood, because I didn't grow up in an urban area, although we went to school in an urban area, because our rural home is not very far from the city. So we'd come to school every morning, and then we'd be dropped home in the evening. So I never got to interact with the urban life. I was still on the farm. So that, I still cherish that. And that's why, like, many weekends when I want to, like, retreat and rest, I just go to the farm.
Yeah.
I still love it up till today. Yeah. My roots are still there.
Yeah. Wow. Going back to the roots.
Yes.
What advice can you think of that your parents gave you that have really helped you up to where you are now?
Well, to follow your dreams, to do what you really need to do, to be the best in what you do. And that's why whatever I do, I try to do it well.
Yeah.
To excel in what I do. Because, like right now, in this season in my life, yes, I'm a professional service provider in a higher learning institution. And I try to do my work well. Because I'm not doing it for an institution. No, I have a higher calling.
Yeah.
So I want to, and I think of the end as I'm doing my present. I think of my legacy. What will I be remembered for? What mark am I making? And you see, in this area, you're dealing with human beings, and you want to make a mark, to leave a mark in somebody's life. What will somebody remember you for? Because I have fond memories of, I can remember teachers a few who taught me in primary school, and I can remember the value they instilled in me. I would want one day to meet somebody 10 years from now to tell me you taught me in this institution at this level, and this is what I learned from you, and it still helps me up till today.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying now.
Just before we move away from that,
Mhm.
let's talk about purpose.
Yes.
How did you find your purpose? How did you know that you wanted to be a mwalimu? Or when did you decide that, you know what, I think this is what I've been called to do? So let's talk about your purpose. There's someone who is trying to find their purpose. Maybe they've just finished Form 1, they're like, what next? You know, I finished my high school education, so what is there for me? Yeah.
You never, okay, we're all different, because we all have different personalities and so on. I'll talk about myself. It wasn't very clear that I wanted to be a doctor or a teacher. This came actually by mistake. The same thing I said earlier. Always keep doing something. So I was that kind of person. Always doing something. So at every season of my life, I was doing something new. So I've always been going to school, and that's why I'm always learning something new. I went in my adulthood. I went to college to learn animation. And while I was learning, in fact, that's where it came. As I was learning animation, I realized that I could also teach. And then I also did a diploma somewhere in journalism and media studies. And I failed in media law. That diploma had 5 units, and it was a UK-based diploma. So you do it here, it's marked in UK, and then it comes back. But I failed in 1 unit. So I purposed to myself that I'm going to learn this unit, and I'm going to become very good in it, so much so that I'll be teaching it. So I forced myself to learn media law, and I liked it, and I excelled in it, and up till today I teach media law. And then in that season when I was learning, because I also have an NGO background, there's a course that came in the course of that organization that I was in. And there was an opportunity to acquire an international diploma in teaching and training. So I did that as well while I was there. Then thereafter I realized now I have all these qualifications, I might as well start utilizing them. So that's how teaching came in. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for today's video. I love how I get to learn a lot of new things from you from every video. I remember when we did part 1 of this interview, we talked about mentorship. Who is a mentor? What are the benefits of a mentor? How do you get to know, the benefits of having a mentor and all that. Then in part 2, we talked about marriage, we talked about fatherhood and a lot of great things. So just in case you've not watched the part 1 and part 2 of this interview, and now the part 3 that we've just done today, I'm going to leave the link in the description box so that you get to see the video, and you get to be edified as well, just as I have been edified. So thank you so much, sir, for always honoring the invite and always having you on my YouTube channel. Such a pleasure.
This is a pleasure for me.
Yeah.
You talked about purpose. So I know my purpose and I'm living it.
Yes.
And one of it is just to impact the next generation. So it's always an honor and a pleasure to share my experience.
Thank you so much, Mwalimu. Alright guys, this is where we end it. Thank you so much for always liking and sharing my content. See you on my next video, Baraka. Oh, and don't forget, you're being equipped to equip others. Asante.
Thank you.